What's up everyone, Graham here with Music City Acoustics. One of the most common questions we get is, should I install my acoustic panels or bass traps with an air gap? For recording studios and spaces like venues and churches where having a balanced and controlled low frequency response is essential to having a great sound, the answer is a resounding yes. That is why I'm super excited to show you how to install our air gap spacer. We designed it to make it super fast and easy to install your acoustic panels with an air gap. If you want to follow along with our install guide, you can download it in the link below. Let's jump right in. To get started, you're just going to need a few tools: a pencil, a marker, a tape measure, a level, a drill, a 1/2-inch drill bit, a Phillips screwdriver bit, and a T25 Torx screwdriver bit. Our first step is going to be securing the 4-inch Z-clip to the back of your panel. To do this, I like to make a mark in the center of the panel and then also mark 2 inches on either side of that center mark. This will give you a 4-inch wide space so you know exactly where to put that cleat. Once you have your marks made, grab your cleat and get it centered on the panel. Make sure that the top of the cleat is flush with the top of the panel and stays level while you're using the 3/4 inch screws to secure the Z-clip to the panel. The second step is going to be to secure the Z-clip to the back of our air gap spacer. Using a pencil, repeat the exact same process for marking the center of your spacer and then 2 inches on either side of that. With that marked, we can grab our cleat, line it up with our marks, and now make sure that the bottom of the cleat is flush with the bottom edge of your air gap spacer. With everything lined up properly, you can now use the 3/4 inch screws to secure the Z-clip to the air gap spacer. Your next step is going to be to figure out where you want to put the panels in your room. If you're installing multiple panels on a wall, I definitely recommend sketching this out on a piece of paper so you can get your placement right and figure out where your hardware is going to need to go. We've got a quick example of this that you can reference to see what a sketch might look like for your room, but keep in mind your measurements are always going to be unique to your space and where you want your panels to go. With your game plan in place, we can start marking out the wall for where we're going to need to install the hardware. Make a mark where the center of your panel is going to be. Then measure up from the floor the height that you want the top of the panel to be. In our case, we're going to install our panel 6 feet off the floor, but this might be different in your room. With the mark made for where you want the top of the panel to be, make another mark 2¼ inches below that. This is going to be where the top of the air gap spacer sits on the wall. Use a level to extend your horizontal and vertical lines so that you can use them as a reference point to line up your air gap spacer to. With your air gap spacer held up to your lines, use one of the screws to transfer the pre-drilled hole locations to your wall. With your hole locations marked on the wall, we're ready to drill. Grab your drill and the 1/2-inch drill bit and pre-drill the holes at each of those locations. If you happen to have a stud behind either of those hole locations, use the included 2.5-inch construction screws. If you don't have a stud in either of those spots, use the included zip toggles. With your holes drilled, gently fold the toggle backwards towards the plastic zip cord. Then carefully push the toggle through the pre-drilled holes. With the metal toggle pushed all the way through the hole, it should flip up so that you can't pull it back through that same hole. You can now pull the zip cord tight by sliding the washer towards the wall. With your zip toggle secured tightly to the wall, bend it back and forth to snap off the handle. Now we're ready to secure the air gap spacer to the wall. Grab your screws, spacer, and drill. Line up the pre-drilled holes on your spacer with the zip toggles on the wall and carefully insert the screws. Before fully tightening both screws, throw level on top of your spacer and make sure that you have it level and lined up with your pencil marks. Then fully tighten the screws, making sure that the spacer is secured level and tightly to the wall. Now we're on to the easy step, installing Pinocchio. Grab the square block and one of the construction screws. On the wall, center the block on your spacer and come down about 3 feet. You want the block to be pretty close to the bottom of your panel, but not all the way at the bottom of it. Drive that screw directly into the wall. With the block secured to the wall, grab the dowel and push it into the pre-drilled hole. Now you're ready to hang your panel. Carefully lift the panel just above the Z-clip on the air gap spacer. Gently lower the panel onto the cleat, making sure the cleat is properly seated and not sitting on the wood from the air gap spacer. Double check everything to make sure it's level, and you're done. We hope you're excited to go install your acoustic panels with an air gap. If you liked this video, it'd mean the world to us if you gave us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Thanks so much.